Cool.
All right, so first off, I want to say greetings and good morning to everybody. It's a little odd because I can't hear anything, but I'm being told that you can hear me. So we'll just work with it, all right? All right. All right. So this kind of changes things because I was hoping to actually interact with you all a little bit, but I can't hear anything. So first of all, I want to say thank you for everybody coming out. My name is David Kennedy, and I perform under the name Copper Stone. So I'm a hip hop reggae artist as well as a graduate student in education. So welcome everybody. You can just raise your hand if you're hearing me. All right, good. All right. All right, so the title of the presentation, and actually just to let you know, I don't know if Anthony has told you, but I'm coming to you live and direct from Kingston, Jamaica, all right? And I was hoping to be there in person, but things didn't work out that way, but you know, you have to just work with the flow. So I'm happy to be here though via Skype. All right, so very quickly, because I've been told I have about 10 minutes. So the name of the presentation is Live from Miami, Jamaica. Beats and rhymes in a transnational space. So essentially, I guess to sum things up, I migrated from Jamaica when I was young, moved to Miami. Since then, I've lived in Miami, I've lived in Brooklyn, spent some time in London, did my master's degree in Denver, and then recently moved back to Jamaica about 3 years ago, all right? In doing so, being somebody who migrated to another country, I was a part of this thing called the 1.5 generation, all right? So that's a generation that grew up somewhere else, migrated somewhere, so they have memories and connections to the place that they were before, but now they're creating these new memories and connections in this new space that they occupy, in which they migrated to. So in doing that, migration is an untapped resource for promoting Caribbean integration. Furthermore, a journey that sometimes leaves migrants in limbo, somewhere between both countries, a type of cultural purgatory. In trying to remain active participants of their culture, they're constantly faced with the challenge of redefining the meaning and relevance of their citizenship. So what I wanted to do right now, and as I said, there is no sound, but is there anybody in the room right now that is from somewhere else, grew up in the US, was born somewhere else in another country? That's the two hands. All right, so everybody that's pretty much was born and raised in the US? Yes?
Yes.
All right. Two hands, I couldn't see. I guess you could type it for me then. Where is it that the two of you are from or were born?
Canada.
I think I see some typing going on, I'm not sure.
Oh, should we write it?
All right.
Because he said type it.
I'm not seeing a response, so I'll just keep on going. Wait, hold on. Canada and Iran. All right. We're working with it. All right, so in migrating somewhere else, you find that you occupy this very strange space because you reach a point where if you spend too much time in one place, you're no longer from where you came from, but then you don't really necessarily fit into the place that you're now occupying. So I call this sort of cultural purgatory, cultural limbo. And being that I was Jamaican and coming to the US, this was a space that I occupied on many different occasions. And so in doing that, I had to figure out a way to know, how do I redefine myself, being that I'm becoming too American to be Jamaican, but then too Jamaican to really be American. So you almost don't belong to either place, you occupy this space, right? So in doing so, and for me, what I did is I utilized music as well as hip hop as a way for me to navigate this space, as well as redefine my place within the US, my place within Jamaica, my place within this other third space that I was occupying. And in doing so, it made me realize certain things. So when you talk about transnationalism and occupying this transnational space, I have different titles that I would hold. So for example, physically, there's Kingston, which is where I was born, Miami, where I eventually grew up, London, New York. I was a teacher, I'm an artist, postgraduate student, and all these titles that I held needed something to sort of bring them all together to make them more cohesive. And in doing so, that's what I utilized hip-hop music and culture to do so. So when we talk about transnationalism very quick, it's a concept that describes a movement or set of linkages that occur across national borders. Alright, focus on migrants literally living in two places. So transnationalism was created by trans migrants whose opportunities depended on interstate relations. People who move infrequently but are integrally involved in a single sending or receiving setting, and people who are never moved but live in a migrant cultural context. So basically what that means for me is that at one point I was abroad, but now I'm back home. So it also puts me in also a very different space. And me coming back to Jamaica, reggae music is what I do, hip hop music is what I do, and I felt somewhere in between the two. And in doing this, it's informed a lot of my scholarship, a lot of my research. And when I was in the US, I did a lot of work with hip hop within education. So now being that I'm back in Jamaica, I'm now looking at reggae music and culture within education, as well as there's those links between the two. So in doing so, I think that, and this, as I said, is very interesting and a first for me, so I'm trying to work with everything. So in doing so, I use something called an performance ethnography. And that's also a big part of the work that I do. So since we're very limited on time and since you can only hear me, I was going to do something for you and then we'll continue on. And this was something that I wrote a few years ago, and it was me looking at in terms of the history of the US, where do I fall into place, and especially with all the current events that's going on. It's interesting because as a Jamaican, you talk about immigrants. A lot of times that's not the first, we're not usually considered in that discussion about immigrants. When you think about immigrants typically, especially with the national discussion now, the first thing that comes to people's mind is Mexicans coming from Mexico. But immigrants covers a wide array of people and countries, and Jamaicans obviously are one of them. So in doing so, the first thing I did in coming to the US, I had to renegotiate that space and understand the space that I was occupying. And so there was a song that I wrote that was called 1 Part 2. And it was me sort of stepping out and looking at the bigger picture of, we have all these minorities in the US occupying this space below, all fighting to reach to the top level. And in doing so, I realized the whole idea of, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it right now, but essentially me stepping back, I realized there was definitely something in place that divides all these minority groups, which then enables us to maintain our current space, which is below at the bottom. So in doing so, the name of the song was called 1 Part 2. And as I said, it was me also placing myself within the context of American history. So it began with the first African sold in slavery. Another African screaming out, "Someone save me," but no one comes to their cries, so they jump overboard, only free when they die. His shipmates didn't have the guts to do it. He hesitated, lost his chance, so he blew it. Just another incident in the life of a slave in the land of the free and the home of the brave Red Mary Prince. I ain't been the same since. Imagine big stacks of cash without brinks. In other words, life without no protection. Under the law, so expect insurrection. My objection is just simply this. If you got mixed blood, you can still pump your fist. Cause 1/4 still made you 3/5, which means no right to vote, so get pissed. So essentially that was just a piece of it. But in me doing this, I had to also renegotiate that space. And it all came together with an album that I came up with called Live from Miami, Jamaica. All right, where am I at now? 3 minutes? All right. So in doing so, as I said, I had to renegotiate that space. And so Live from Miami, Jamaica was a collection of poetry, writings, essentially all the material that I put together in terms of now reestablishing what my space was in the US, being somebody who had migrated from another country. Now, there was something I did want to share with you with the time that we had left. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and see if I can, because I'm assuming that you can get my text, right? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes? All right. So what I'm going to send to you right now is something, is to sort of play for a few minutes and then I'll wrap it up and then we will be done. All right. So, all right. So I'm going to send that over right now. And then I'm going to let you just let it play for a little bit and then I'll wrap up very quickly. All right?
The oxy sheet. It's oxy.
All right, as Anthony tries to pull that up, as I said, trying to adjust to the technology, and everything was working in my favor. So, but I'm still trying to make it work. So, still unable to pull it up? No? All right, that's fine. All right. So what I can do is, you know, if anything, I can always send some of this material that I'm hoping that could be shared later on, as well as a PowerPoint and everything else, because then I think it'll make a lot more sense. So essentially, felt feeling very rushed. All right, so essentially just to wrap up, I think that, I mean, there's obviously a lot of value in terms of what hip-hop music and culture does for people who are coming from other countries. There's also a very big hip-hop movement, well not big, but a subculture essentially that is here in Jamaica as well. There's a bunch of Jamaican hip-hop artists that are coming out as well, which is interesting because Jamaica obviously is the capital of reggae music. But because there's been this connection between both reggae and hip-hop, I think they naturally overlap and cause for this type of exchange to happen. And for me, when I was in the US, one of the biggest songs that really cemented that for me was Shabba Ranks and KRS-One. I don't know if you ever heard of this song, it's called The Jam, right? There's another song with Bounty Killer and Special Ed, and different hip hop and reggae combinations that really gave me a space to belong or a place to be. So I think in wrapping up, as I said, that there's a lot that can be done with the music, a lot that can be done with the culture. It's unfortunate that I wasn't able to share this in a much different way, but at the same time, I'm very thankful that I was at least to spend these few minutes with you. As I said, all of this will make more sense when I share the PowerPoint and some of the material. I was hoping that this would be a little bit more interactive, but I guess I was gonna ask if there's any questions, but because we're short on time, I guess I'll just leave it there for now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate the silent clap, and I will send those materials over to Anthony. All right.
Peace.